Yeah, it's live
Well,
now.
all right,
Okay,
shalom,
shalom,
shalom, we're
shalom,
live.
brothers and sisters. Welcome to another segment of Tazadaq Disciples of Christ. Tonight's discourse will be why are we calling ourselves Hebrew Israelites? All praises be to the Most High. I'd like to welcome all fellow guests, travelers, and friends to this discourse here. I'm guaranteed that you'll definitely be in for a surprise. Brother Benaiah will be also helping me to go to certain scriptures within this Tanakh to help solidify this discourse tonight on why are we calling ourselves Hebrew Israelites. I also like to give a moment of silence for Brother Prez and his family members. I'm going to go ahead and start that moment of silence now for about 5 seconds. Okay, with that being said, I'd like to go ahead and start this off. And once again, this discourse is called, why in fact are we calling ourselves Hebrew Israelites? I want to first of all say Shalom Aleichem. In our native tongue, which is Hebrew, that means peace be unto you. All praises be to the Most High Yahweh. Kings and queens, welcome to the University of Yahweh. Only our Creator Yahweh could have made this possible. Me being here today, and you, my brothers and sisters, showing up. Our gift of knowledge and wisdom can only come by way of our Creator Yahweh. Our Creator Yahweh alone has blessed us with all these things, including this opportunity to share this food slash feast of wisdom. Let's not forget today's topic. Why is it that faces like myself are calling themselves Hebrew Israelites? With that being said, I want to put together something really quick while I was actually waiting to go online. I want Brother Benaiah to read Deuteronomy 28, verse 37, to go ahead and get this started. While he's finding that, I'd like for you all to pay very close attention to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 37. We're going to go ahead and do a quick breakdown on that word. And if one of these words that we're singling out in here has anything to do with you, you're probably a Hebrew Israelite and don't even know it. Okay? With that being said, Brother Benaiah, are you able to go to Deuteronomy 28, verse 37?
Con, can I be heard?
Cain,
Con.
Khan.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, Deborim, chapter 28, verse 37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword
Hmm,
among all
Cain. Go ahead, on.
among all nations, whether the supreme Allahim shall lead thee.
Okay. So, as you all heard there, you'll be a byword. That word I want to single out tonight is byword, since that's a word that's not readily available in our so called public food systems. This is not a word that I was familiar with. So anyone who doesn't have an understanding of what in fact a word means dealing with that Bible, go ahead and find it in that Strong's Concordance. And I was able to use my Strong's Concordance and I was able to find that word byword. So as I turn to my Strong's Concordance, I'm going to go to page 130. And I don't want to rush this thing here, folks. If you all have time to gather pencil and paper, now would be the good time to go ahead and get that. But as I go to use the Strong's Concordance, I find myself in Deuteronomy 28, verse 37. I used the word byword. Byword tells us to go to our Strong's Concordance and use H8148. And it's okay if your Strong's Concordance doesn't have that H in front of it. What that H stands for is that it's Hebrew. That's a direct Hebrew word, since Hebrew was the first dialect amongst all the people on this earth. This is what we originally spoke. The dialect I'm speaking now, obviously, is not my original language. But with that being said, that says go to H8148. So I'm going to use my strong concordance and go to H81, H8148. Okay, I have found that word byword, and it says something pointed. It says byword. It says taunt. So it said that you will be taunted. We're going to replace that word byword with taunt. You will be taunted in every nation that you go to on the face of this earth. So the next book I'm going to go ahead and use tonight, this is called the JD, the Synonym Finder by J.I. Rodale. You see, I'm going to go ahead and look up that word taunt so that we have an understanding of it. One of the words in taunt is reproach, unbraid, rebuke, berate, rank out, poke fun at. That's very interesting. It said no matter what nation you place a face like mine's or many other faces that resemble mine's on, they'll be taunting you by calling you this byword. You see, a make fun of, call names, torment, ridicule, deride, reveal, offend. So what it's basically saying in Deuteronomy 28, verse 37, is that no matter what nation the Most High puts you in, people will be calling you a word that may offend you. You see, there's certain bloodlines that you call out their name, they never get offended, such as Italians, Russians. But you see, with a face like mine, there's many derogatory words that go with it. With that being said, that brings me to my next reference book, which is the Webster's Dictionary, copyright 1984. I suggest if you all do these type of studies that you get a very good copyright date, because due to the fact of them revising things, they also forgot to leave the truth in some of those revisals. With that being said, this takes us to the definition of byword. And this 1984 copyright says it best of all. It says byword, a well-known saying, a proverb. Now it said proverb in Deuteronomy 28:37. So we're on the right track here. And this is coming out of a regular dictionary, folks. It's a wonder how much truth is in these things. One that proverbially represents a type or class. Something noteworthy or notorious, an epithet or a nickname. Now that word epithet, that really got my attention because it was a word I was not familiar with. So I'm going to share that one with you. That word right there is basically telling you exactly what in fact is going on here. This is on page 438. All right. Okay. I found that word epithet, and that word is spelled Epithet. I'm going to go right down to definition 2, because this was referring right back to Deuteronomy 28, verse 37, where it says that you will be a byword in every nation that the Most High sends you. Definition number 2 states a derogatory or abusive word or phrase. See, I tell you this, when you're out in public, you can always say Italian, you can always say Russian, and no one feels bad. But if you use a derogatory word to call someone who has a face like mine, you know, you got to say that hush hush. You're pretty shy at saying that to a face that looks like mine, because inwardly you know that doesn't describe me. It doesn't describe a people that look like me, you know? So with
Con.
that being said, now's an opportunity to try and pay attention to exactly why are they calling us these abusive names other than the name that our creator had given us. You see? You see, if you choose to call yourself these proverbials such as African American, what kind of guy takes an American flag and an African flag and cut them in half and put them together? You see, a title like that, such as Negro, Black, Colored, those are epithets. These are all bywords that the Most High said no matter where they place a face that looks like mine on this planet, they'll probably get pissed off at me and call me one of those derogatory words that has nothing to do with me at all. You see, when you use words like that, and the people that actually came up with a word like that, because the Most High never says he created an African American or a so called black or a so called Negro or so called colored. You see, these are all names that man came up with. And if you choose to live in the imaginations of another man, then what point is there of living anyway? You see? Ex- Excuse me. As you know, when you're spreading the Most High's word, you tend to sit up here and get a bit of an interruption. I want to warn you all to be aware of all distractions that may or may not be taking place as we break down this discourse today. With that being said, as you know, in Deuteronomy 28, verse 37, we are talking about a byword. And that byword has a lot to do with the people who themselves today don't even know that they're Hebrew Israelites. So stay tuned, okay? With that being said, I want to welcome you all again to the University of Yahweh. Only our Creator Yahweh alone has blessed us with all these things, including this opportunity to share this feast slash test of wisdom. Today, tools that we're going to be using, you must excuse me here, I've got all my swords laying out, is a King James Bible. This is a copyright 2011. I suggest if you're going to do these type of breakdowns that you go ahead and start with the King James Bible. Most of us have a lot of these Bibles sitting around at home. It might be time to blow some dust off of those Bibles. With that being said, I affectionately call this one here Big Red. This is a Webster's New Riverside University Dictionary, and it's a copyright 1984. They were telling a lot of truths, believe it or not, during that copyright. I know firsthand. Also, with that being said, I want to introduce, I call this Little Blue. This is the Merriam-Webster's Dictionary. This is a copyright 2014. All these tools help out. And these are all reference books. These books don't care who you are. They're going to tell you exactly what's going on. You don't necessarily have to have that Bible with you in order to tote these type of truths. With that being said, I want to introduce you once again into the Strong's Concordance. This is a very good book. And I tell you, this is a very good book for anybody who's coming into this knowledge to go ahead and have for themselves. Believe it or not, every pastor has got he's got one of these in his office. That's why I don't understand why, in fact, a lot of this information hasn't already been shared with you, and how come the pastors haven't shared this with us. You see, it's so much truth in this thing. I've never heard the pastors even mention that they own something like this. Okay. With that being said, also, I want to introduce you into a very good book. I suggest that you add to your libraries. And this book is called The Great Now Valley Contributions to Civilization. The reason why I mentioned all these books tonight, because I'm using all of these books to draw the conclusion. I actually have a question for everybody that's tuned in tonight. I'm going to ask you, what do you call yourself at the end of this discourse? And hopefully you'll actually get it right this time. With that being said, now let us get down to the business of facts, not opinions. That's the only reason we're here today. We're here today to share facts. Now, if you're a person who does not like facts and truth, or if you're emotional, or you like people to lie to you, if that might be you tonight, it might be time to stand up and log out, go to bed, turn the channel, because I'm not going to distribute any type of lies here, and I'm not going to share my opinion whatsoever. You see, this is why I keep this diadem on. For me, it represents at all times to be about my wits, because someone may be trying to solicit me out of my heaven, you see? And whenever I have this on, this reminds me of that. This reminds me that I am a Hebrew Israelite, a people set apart. Okay? With that being said, you all are sticking around. I guess you want the truth. Well, that's good. Earlier in this report, I spoke of our gift of knowledge, which is only given by our Creator Yahweh, because of 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15. Brother Benaiah, would you be blessed enough to share that with us tonight?
Come on. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse. What was that? What was
Verse
that verse?
15, Ak.
Verse 15.
King.
It's the book of 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15.
King, say it, brother.
Study to show thyself approved unto Yahweh,
Mm-hmm.
a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth.
King. With that being said, I have no shame to share these truths with you. I've done the proper studies. So now is the time tonight to show oneself approved. That's with anything basically in life that you do. You know, the Torah, the Tanakh, the Bible tells us that we have to study these things and show thyself approved. You see, if you're not studying right, how could you show yourself approved? And then it says, don't be ashamed. You know that feeling of shame is an emotion? And in the Most High's business, there's no emotion here, just straight facts. I believe that's what at one point in time we all desire is truth. No matter how bad it hurt, I think a lot of the times at the end of the day, we desire truth. With that being said, I spoke of our gift of wisdom, which comes from our Creator Yahweh, because of Proverbs chapter 4, verse 7. Brother Benaiah, if you'll please. And this is the book of Proverbs, chapter 4, verse 7.
It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 4, verse 7.
King.
Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom. And with all thy getting, get understanding.
Get understanding. Get understanding. This is why I keep the reference books. That's one thing I won't be accused of, is sitting here sharing my opinions with you. If you've got beef with something that I may have shared with you tonight, take it up with the people who wrote the Webster's Dictionary. Take it up with the people that wrote any of those books, because there's no point of coming at me with it. Praise the Most High. I was able to find it, and I'm giving it to you tonight. So, with that being said, please be aware of people who just read and never share the references, which he or she now is getting their knowledge or their information. You know, if they never show you references, call it like it is. It's just an opinion. And I really believe your opinions are supposed to be shared at home when you lock your door behind you. That's the only time somebody really cares about your opinion. Other than that, it's all business here in America. I say that because if you want to sit up here and quote unquote cook dope, you get a pharmaceutical license. Well, if you want to sell drugs, you get a pharmaceutical license. If you want to cook it or whatnot, you get a chemist license. Okay? You want a fried chicken, you go get a cook's license. You want to do hair, you go get a hair license. That should tell you everything in America is based upon business, because if you don't have that license, guess what? They're coming for you. With that being said, let's stick to the facts here. Now, Brother Benaiah, if you'll turn with me to Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5, and share that, please. And this is Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5.
Come on. It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 5.
Okay.
Trust in Yahweh
Mm-hmm.
with all thine heart,
Mm-hmm.
and lean not unto thine own understanding.
Mm-hmm. Once again, this is why I'm not leaning to my own understanding. As you'll see tonight, a lot of this information is coming right out of the books. Has nothing to do with my personal opinion. I have yet to share that with you tonight. Masses of pastors around the world are guilty. That's right, I said guilty. Guilty of giving opinions and scattering the sheep of our Creator. Okay? Here is biblical proof that this is happening today, folks. Okay? And this was written way before I got to this earth, before a lot of you even got here. You see, it was already pre-telling us that pastors of today will be carrying on this way. Here's that biblical proof. Brother Benaiah, if you'll please turn to chapter 10. Well, this is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 10, verse 21. Khan?
It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 10, verse 21. For the pastors are become brutish and have not sought Yahweh.
Wow. Wow. So it says the pastors have become brutish. Once again, that's a word that a lot of us don't know. So that's a word I'm going to have to look up tonight using the Webster's Dictionary. I affectionately call this book Big Red because when she cuts, and she tells it exactly what it is. And this word tonight is brutish. B-R-U. Let me find that if you all will just bear with me here. Besides, a good lesson is never rushed anyway, right? Okay, brutish, showing a lack of reason or intelligence. I wonder why, in fact, the Bible would say that the pastors of today would be brutish. Have any of your pastors ever sat up there and showed you all one of these? Okay. Have any of your pastors ever said to get one of these? Or better yet, has any of your pastors, my goodness, I tell you, folks, I normally don't even get calls like that, but Kahan Tazadaq, he can relate. He can relate. They only want to call when you're kicking this knowledge, but I warned you all earlier, there'll be certain distractions. I'm not going to let it distract me. But here's another tool that the your pastors never showed you.
Didn't know that existed.
Yeah, which is actually a shame because modern day pastors. Hey, sugar, that's you, mama. Let me call you back. I'm actually on live. Okay, baby. Love you. Love you too, ma. Bye bye. Yeah, I had to take that call, folks. I love my mama, but nevertheless, we were at the word brutish, and I shared with you some books, in fact, that your pastors may have not showed you to share this truth with you. And I could see why in their description that they're giving you, that they're saying that they are not intelligent, they don't have reason. Some are carnal, and this is a definition of brutish, carnal. I'm pretty sure a lot of you all sitting right now listening to this broadcasting can give some examples of a pastor behaving carnally. I mean, I could go on and on, but it's not really my story to share here. It's yours. I'm pretty sure there's many of instances you can say that. Here's another definition: sensual. Okay. And then remember, when we say brutish, we're talking about a suffix at the end of that, which is ish. That means somewhat of. Okay. So, with that being said, we're going to take that suffix off and look up that word brute. And one of the first words that I come to is non-human. So it's telling you in Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 21, that you will have pastors who are brutish. And one of the words here is non-human. Okay? I'm pretty sure a lot of you can share some examples, and I'm hoping that you will, about some pastors who have exuded the attributes of being something other than human. You see? After reading that, we've defined the word brutish using the Webster's Dictionary. Okay. Now we've looked at that word brute. Okay. With that being said, I wanted to tell you about the definitions of the words. These words closer to the word that you are looking for have more influence on the word's definition. Like when I went to brute, one of the first words right next to brute was non-human. Okay. A brutal person displaying a lack of reasons or intelligence, someone who's savage, someone who's cruel. Okay. Brother Benai, if you'll do me the honors of turning to Jeremiah 23, verse 11.
the book of Jeremiah, chapter 23, verse 11. For both prophet
Mm-hmm.
and priest
Mm-hmm.
are profane.
Yes.
Yea, in my house have I found their wickedness, saith Yahweh.
Mm. Mm. So both the pastor and the priest are profane. Hmm. Makes me want to look up that word profane tonight to find out exactly. And once again, folks, I'm going right here to the dictionary to find this. Give you a better understanding of what actually profane, what that actually means. Ak, if you'll give me a spelling of that word profane.
Kahan. P-R-O-F-A-N-E.
Mm-hmm.
Profane.
Okay, I found it. Cain. Profane, showing contempt toward the Most High or sacred things, blasphemous, non-religious, in subject matter form of use. So it's telling you that these pastors would be, he says, woe, and to the pastors that do things like that, scatter my sheep. He's telling you that they're against the Most High, that they're profane. So here it is. Pastors who are profane are most definitely against the Most High. I charge the ones who never even shared some of these book references with you. That's who I charge. With that being said, can you share with me Jeremiah chapter 12, verse 10?
It's the book of Jeremiah,
Dang.
chapter 12, verse 10. Many pastors have destroyed my vineyard. They have trodden my portion underfoot.
Mm,
They have made my pleasant portion a desolate wilderness.
mm, So that's the Most High telling you that they have set up here and trampled over his vineyard, his vineyard. Okay? That's us, folks. That's us. That vineyard is a representation of us. The pastors have trampled all over us. That's why a lot of this generation, this younger generation, I'm not going to use any bywords or epithets to sit up here and taunt at them tonight. But the generation of today, a lot of those brothers and sisters aren't finding themselves in church houses because who do we have to turn to? You see, who do we have to turn to but outlets like this? Tazadaq disciples of Christ. I'm so thankful for a platform like this once again. Okay. But no worries, brothers, sisters, elders, and youth out there. Turn with me to Jeremiah chapter 5, verse 18. And you'll understand why, in fact, I say, don't worry. Because the Most High was aware way when he said, on this day I made this day, he said, on the Sabbath I rested. You know, he was aware these modern day pastors would be around doing this thing. So this is why I say don't worry, because he always leaves us with remedy. Go ahead, King.
It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 5, verse 18.
King.
Nevertheless, in those days, saith Yahweh,
Mm-hmm.
I will not make a full end with you.
King. So that's the Most High saying, although all this is gone, you've been lied to, you've been misdirected, you've been tricked, you've been hoodwinked, you've been bamboozled, you've been run amok. Most High said, nevertheless, I still got something for you. I'm not going to make a full end of you. Okay? With that being said, let's turn to Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 15, King.
You got that, Daryl?
Con, chapter 3, verse 15.
King.
And I will give you pastors according to my heart,
Yes.
which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding.
Okay. Did I tell you the Most High had a remedy? Didn't I tell you? Although you've been tricked by pastors, you run into some carnal ones, some sensual ones, some non-human ones. That's the Most High saying, I'm going to send you pastors on my own heart who are not going to cause you to sit up there and go through these calamities anymore. Because you almost understand we are living in the last days, folks. And true enough, you know, when the spirit of walk hits a lot of us coming into this knowledge, you can't help but to share it. You see, and we're doing things a lot different than our so-called predecessors. You know, these modern day pastors. I'm not even going to call out their names, but I'm going to tell you, if they're addressing you in the manner that doesn't have anything to do with that Torah, that Tanakh, that Bible, then, you know, definitely get away from that. You know, I definitely want to say once again that the Most High has remedy for us. Let's turn to Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 4. Ak.
It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 23, verse 4.
Okay.
And I will set up shepherds over them which shall feed them, and they shall fear no more, nor be dismayed.
Mm.
Neither,
Hey, Moreh Ali, you need to check your mic. Your mic keeps going in and out. It's very staticky.
Okay.
and they shall fear no more, nor be dismayed, neither shall they be lacking, saith Yahweh.
Cain. So with that being said, they will not be in fear, nor will they be dismayed. And these are the modern day pastors that the Most High is sending you today.
Hey, Salakia, someone's mic is very, very distorted. It's very distorted, and the entire stream is it's been going on back and forth almost the entire stream. So you guys might want to check your mic.
Kahan, it sounds loud and clear on my end. I don't know about anyone else.
How am I coming across to you, brothers? Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yeah,
Loud
okay.
and clear.
I don't know how it is on YouTube, but in StreamYard it sounds straight.
Okay. Okay. With that being said, the modern day pastors that the Most High has inspired today, we're coming with real truth. We're coming with real facts. Okay. That's why I share with the highest God on this earth, the one that's created this earth, Yahweh. That's why I share what he gives me to share with you. What makes us Hebrew Israelites? First, do you believe you are a Hebrew Israelite, which is a descendant of Abraham of the Bible? Allow me to be your Hebrew Israelite guide and show you. Brothers and sisters, will you turn to Genesis chapter 14, verse 13? And brother, one of you good brothers at Tazadaq, do you mind sharing that with us? This is coming out of the book of Genesis, chapter 14, verse 13.
It's the book of Genesis, chapter 14, verse 13.
Okay.
And there came one that had escaped
Hmm.
and told Abram, the Hebrew,
Whoa, Abraham the who?
the Hebrew,
Abraham the who, Ak?
the Hebrew,
The
Hebrew.
Mm. So it says Abraham the Hebrew, and that Hebrew brother done escaped. Sound like the Most High on his side all day already. As you can see, Abraham is being described as a Hebrew. That's the first time I believe that word Hebrew is even used in that Bible. Did your pastor ever sit up there and tell you that? That you Hebrew, not colored, not Negro, not Afro, because some of us are going bald. So where are we? Not African American, okay? So why is it that your modern day pastors haven't shared this information with you? It's a shame, but it was already prophesied, you see, that this would happen. But Abraham most definitely is being described as a Hebrew. Now I'm going to go to, the Webster's Dictionary, copyright 1984. Big Red is what I call her. And I'm going to look up that word Hebrew and give you a definition of it based on what this dictionary says. Not my opinion. Like I said, I found out what a Hebrew is using the same mechanism right here. I didn't know any of this stuff. I had other Hebrew Israelite brothers to teach me this stuff. I tune into this channel to find out who in fact I am. Okay? I don't want to keep using titles that man has given me. You see, when you follow a title that a man gives you, there's a certain set of rules and instructions that you may or may not like that comes along with that title.
Cain.
Okay? So keep holding up your flags as far as your African Americans or all these other ridiculous notions. That's not you. Okay? With that being said, I'm back into the dictionary here, copyright 1984. It says Hebrew. Okay? And it says Aram. Aram. Now that was Abraham's name before he crossed over, before he come into the knowledge of who in fact the Most High was. You see, that happens a lot in the Bible, and I'm going to point that out to you tonight. Okay? So it says he crossed over. Okay? It says a member or descendant of a northern Semitic people, Israelite. Okay? The Semitic language of the ancient Hebrews. Okay? My goodness. So these Hebrews got their own language. As you know, when I'm speaking, it's not my language. I do not look like an Englishman to you. I hope not. Unless there's actually something wrong with my camera here. I doubt it. With that being said, that gives you a great definition of what, in fact, Hebrew is. Okay? I'm going to give you a little history on that. Aram, which is the name of an ancient country, Middle East, Southwest Asia. Aram also was named for the Armenians who emerged from Syria desert to invade Syria in Upper Mesopotamia during the 11th century BC. What is also interesting is that Aram's grandfather is Noah. My goodness. Noah of the Bible, who has a son named Shem. Okay? Which is Aram's father. The next thing I spotted is the definition states he crossed over, a member or descendant of northern Semitic people. Okay? A Semitic language of ancient Hebrews. Have you ever asked yourselves, brothers and sisters out there in the audience, why does this brother use so many dictionaries? Well, I'll be good, gosh. That Bible has the answer to that, brothers and sisters. Okay? I want to have one of the brothers, Brother Benaiah, if you do the honors of turning to, or one of you good brothers, do the honors of turning to Jeremiah chapter 5, verse 15 tonight. Because you'll begin to understand and overstand why is it that this brother keeps not one, but 2, 3, 4, because I want the truth, okay? And nothing but the truth. And I know I'm not, I can never have enough of that truth, ladies and gentlemen out there. These reference books is exactly what hides that truth. And you know what they say, that proverbial slang or saying, if you want to hide something from a face that looks like mine, where do you put it?
In a book.
In a book. That's probably faces that look like mine's least contribution they make financially. And that's a shame. That's a shame. Not to get too far off subject, and if you will hold that Jeremiah chapter 5, verse 15, I have a question I'd like to ask the so-called black man or so-called black woman and friends of the so-called black man and friends of the so-called black woman. If, in fact, you're going to hold on to such a epithet, a byword, a notorious slang, a proverb like that, I think it's best you keep one of these in your arsenal. Okay? Now, why is it that many of us don't even have one of those in our home? Since they call you the so-called black man or so-called black woman, since you're the friend of the so-called black man and the friend of the so-called black woman, purchase them that book. You guys get that book. Go ahead and truly make yourself, so powerful. With that being said, can you share with me Jeremiah chapter 5, verse 15?
I got it,
Go ahead, Daryl. Go ahead, Daryl.
Con, this is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 5, verse 15. Lo, I will bring a nation upon you from afar. O house of Israel, saith the Most High. It is a mighty nation. It is an ancient nation. A nation whose language thou knowest not, neither understandeth what they say.
My goodness. My goodness. So you know now why I have to keep those reference books, because this is not my original dialect. Okay? I was taught to speak this way. And it said a language you wouldn't understand. Many of you on this channel right now have been to court. After that so-called robe says what he says, what do? You turn right to your lawyer and ask him, what did he just say? So that's how I know. And let's not forget our good Indian brothers. They say this language that I'm speaking to you is a forked tongue language. And I'll give you an example of that tonight. When I say, Brother Benaiah, you bad. What does that mean? The brother's misbehaving, or does that mean he's bad good? Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense at all. Or I tell Brother Benaiah, man, ain't that car hot? It ain't got no temperature to it. It ain't stolen. But I tell you, that's that forked tongue language. And in court, they speak legalese. You see, that's why we must keep these books in which I just showed you. If you want to hide something from a face that looks like mine and many of my brothers on this channel, put it in the book. Let us get back to the lesson. So far, descendants of Abraham are Hebrew. Are you Hebrew? Well, soon you're going to be able to answer that question factually, not based off opinions or emotions. Using the King James Bible, I'd like for one of the good brothers to turn to the book of Genesis. While the brother is getting there, I want to share with you a brief history of the book of Genesis. Here is a brief history of that. Genesis is the account of the creation of the whole world, okay? The early history of humanity and of Israel's ancestors and the origins of the Hebrew people. Its Hebrew name is the same as its first word. I can't pronounce that too well, but it's spelled Bereshit, which means in the beginning. Okay? Genesis is the first book of the Hebrew Bible and Christian Old Testament. With those facts, one of you good brothers, please share Genesis chapter 14, verse 13, please.
God, this is the book of Genesis, chapter 14, verse 13. And there came one that had escaped.
Okay.
And told Abraham the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Ishmael, and brother of Aner. And these were confederate with Abram.
King. I wanted to go over that again because once again, descendants of Abraham are called Hebrew, okay? The Most High Yahweh calls this nation of people a peculiar treasure. Let's turn to Psalms chapter 135, verse 4. Because like I said, I'm going to prove everything that I'm saying tonight so that you understand being a Hebrew Israelite, it's not based off of opinions. It's not based off of emotions. It's based off of facts and historical findings and biblical findings and facts, not our opinions. My gosh, not our opinions. You know, that's the most dangerous individual right there, one who can read and write. He's even more dangerous if he has Yahweh and the spirit that will walk in his life. With that being said, good brothers, can you please share that one with me? This is coming out of Psalms chapter 135, verse 4.
God, the book of Psalms, chapter 135, verse 4. For the Most High have chosen Jacob unto himself, and Israel for his precious treasure.
Okay. So you come to find out that the Most High has chosen Yaqub to be his most peculiar treasure out of all other nations of this earth. You see? With that being said, let's turn to Deuteronomy 28, verse 62. This is Deuteronomy 28, verse 62. And I'm learning in Hebrew, you pronounce that Deuteronomy Deborium. And I learned that right here on this channel, folks.
Kahan.
What a blessing.
Said Deborah 28.
Okay, Deborium 28, verse 62.
It's the book of Deborah, chapter 28, verse 62. And ye shall be left few in number,
Mm,
whereas ye were as the stars of Shemayim, or
mm-hmm,
heaven,
mm-hmm,
for multitude,
mm, mm,
because thou wouldest not obey the voice of Yahweh, thy supreme Allahan.
mm. So it says you will be the minority. If I had my Chinese brother and my quote unquote Russian brother and myself out of that lineup, who do you know that the world has taught us is the minority? Okay, you know that's people like you and I, all right? We are the minority, always have been, okay? This was prophesied back then that we would be, in fact, the minority. With that being said, brother, I know we spoke about earlier about the crossover process. Let's turn to the book of Genesis, chapter 35, verse 10. Find out exactly what that says. And this is the book of Genesis, chapter 35, verse 10.
The book of Bereshith, Genesis, chapter 35, verse 10.
Mm-hmm.
And Yahweh said unto him,
Mm-hmm.
thy name is Yaqub,
Mm,
Jacob.
mm.
Thy name shall not be called any more Jacob.
Wow. Wow. You have to do that study on a personal on another time, but you'll come to find out the brother coming to the knowledge. He come to find himself to be a Hebrew Israelite. So he was no longer going to keep referring to himself as Jacob, better known as Yaqub. Most High said, your name ain't Jacob, your name ain't Yaqub, your name is Israel. And that's who we are today. You see, when we run into brothers and sisters who have that reprobated mindset, we call those folks dead DJs because they haven't quite crossed over yet. They haven't found out, in fact, or sat down to this seminar or tuned in to the disciples of Christ and found out, in fact, that they're Israelites. They're Israel. You see, no longer Jacob. With that being said, good brothers, can you please turn to Exodus chapter 19, verse 4 and verse 6, please? Or maybe 4 through 6, Ox. Let's have all that. And this is the book of Exodus, chapter 19, verse 4 through 6.
God, this is Exodus chapter 19, verse 4 through 6.
Okay.
Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings and brought you unto myself. Verse 5. Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people. For all of the earth is mine. Verse 6.
Okay, whoa. Let's stop right there. I don't want to confuse the folks too much. Let's stop right there. So he is saying that you're a peculiar treasure to him, higher than all other people on earth, correct, Art?
Gone.
Okay, so there is no equality, okay, balance amongst this nation or their creator. Simply put, it will always become an unequal match, pound for pound, round for round. Any weapons formed against them shall never prosper. Okay? Citizens and their gods. And I say little g, little o, little d, little s. Stay tuned. You'll know why I pronounce it and why I'm spelling it like that. But citizens and their gods, governments, and empires will fail every time they attempt to come against the nation that the Most High Yahweh calls his particular people. I know man taught us all that we were all equal. Let's think about that lie he has told you and me. Okay, the sad thing about that lie is that we believed it. But let's conceptualize such a thing for entertainment and educational purposes only. If, in fact, we were all equal, we would all be the same height, we would all be the same build, we will all be the same color. Okay? So that means in your day-to-day livings, you'd walk outside and you'll see someone that looks like this, and you'll see your next door neighbor that looks like that also. Okay, that's equal. Now you look at it. There's no equality there, folks. Somebody done hoodwinked us and bamboozled us once again. What kind of madman would teach you something like that? He teaches you this nonsense, but then he turns around and he makes big profits off of our differences. He goes sell this other, he don't know he Hebrew Israelite, but he sell this Hebrew Israelite a Jamaican flag. He sell this other Hebrew Israelite a Haitian flag. He sell this other Hebrew Israelite an African American flag. Well, they ain't made one yet, but you know they sell this brother the American flag. I mean, he makes really big profits off of our differences. You mean we'd all be the same height, we'd all be the same weight and same build? That would be nothing that would separate us from each other. That's why I say you got to start off with that Bible first, because in there you hear that the Most High say that you, Israel, are higher than all other nations of people on the face of this earth. Think about that for a second. There's no equality here, but like I said, they make really big profits off of celebrating our differences, okay? The world knows these people from this nation are peculiar. Let us read Exodus chapter 19, verse 5 in your King James. And while the good brother is finding that, I like to say, what makes me peculiar from the next man? Well, look at this hair. That's a pretty peculiar piece of hair that feels like wool. Look at faces like mine when they get a basketball in their hand, okay? When they get a golf club in their hand. Look who I was named after, if you can see Ali, Muhammad Ali. You see, very peculiar people. Hussein Bolt, very peculiar people. There are not many. Michael Jackson, all these people who are out here. You know, no other nation has reached this type of popularity but these so-called Negroes that they brought here. That's what makes them peculiar. How many sisters that don't look like Aretha Franklin sound like Aretha Franklin? Okay? I mean, the list goes on and on about these peculiar people. My goodness. And the Most High say that you are higher than all other peoples on the face of this earth. But here it is, faces like mine, no matter what nation that they're in, they got that byword title, they got that epithet title, they got that derogatory, notorious slang title. With that being said, brother, can you please share with me Exodus chapter 19, verse 5?
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 19, verse 5. Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people. For all the earth is mine.
Okay. The Most High Yahweh of this universe says these people are high above all people on the face of this earth. Okay. Next, we're going to go to Genesis chapter 15, verse 12 through 14. If one of you brothers can please share that. This is Genesis chapter 15, verse 12 through 14.
Book of Genesis, Bereshith, chapter 15, verse 12 through 14. And where the fowls came down, Salak, and when the sun was going down,
Okay.
a deep sleep fell upon Abram. And lo, an horror of great darkness fell upon him.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 13. And he said unto Abram, Know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them for 400 years.
Mm, mm. Well, brothers and sisters, with that being said, I broke this discourse down to my Hebrew Israelite brothers, sisters, and elders that attended the Hanukkah celebration here on the Sabbath just passing. And I come to find out by way of Kahan Tazadaq, this had happened to some of our other predecessors that still had faces like this. You see, this affliction, it just doesn't affect just one of us. It affects all of us that have this type of melanin count in their skin. With that being said, brother, will you please share Deuteronomy 28:68? I believe that hit home right there with a lot of these so-called African Americans of today. Let's go ahead and have that. It's in Deborahim, chapter 28, verse 68.
It's the book of Deborahim,
King.
chapter 28, verse 68. And Yahweh
Okay.
shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee.
Okay, let's stop right there. So the Most High said, I will bring you into Egypt again. Let's think about this, folks. Just that sentence alone, those few words, is giving up the truth there. He says, I will bring you into Egypt again. Now, if you understand or overstand, they walked out of Egypt, okay? They walked out of there. They didn't have to take no ship. You all know they sojourned in the wilderness, so they didn't take no ship. So my question to you tonight, so-called bywords out there, what other nation of folks did you know got here by way of ship? Okay? There's no other nation that has the majority of its people brought here by way of ship except people who have faces that look like mines. And I'm not talking about that Mayflower. You don't fit that many soldiers in the Mayflower, okay? They had to have a real ship in order to do that. And one of the ships, ironically, based on facts, one of the ships is called the Good Ship Jesus, the Good Ship Jesus ship of Lebec. Ain't that something? So this whole time, our ancestors were talking about, I want Jesus to take us back home. They were literally talking about getting on that ship called the Good Ship Jesus, the ship of Lebec, and going back home. Like I said, I got beef with a lot of those pastors out there because you never brought this to my attention. And I paid so well to that collection plate. With that being said, as you can see here, the nation of people got to this land, not theirs, by way of ship. We need to get a deeper factual definition of the word Egypt by searching its etymology. First of all, many of you may not know the definition of etymology, and that's okay. We talked about that in Jeremiah, where they say you will be brought to a land whose language you did not know and did not understand. Faces like ours. I'm going to look up that word and share that one with you. So bear with me 1 second.
I'm gonna finish out that.
Oh, go ahead. I
Deuter-
came.
yeah. Once again, this is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 68.
Came.
And Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen,
Mm,
and no man shall buy you.
mm, mm. Yeah, you took it there, Brother Benaiah. So you'll be a bondman and a bondwoman. If any of you have ever tuned in to this channel and tuned in to Kahan Tazadaq breaking this information down, I think he just said yesterday he was going into some heavy facts about that bond. Okay? And here it is. Each and every one of us have one. You folks better stay tuned in because all this stuff is being forecast and prophesized. But how many of these pastors are bringing this to you all? How many of the pastors are bringing this type of truth? Not many. That's why Most High say he's going to send brothers like Kahan Tazadaq, Brother Benaiah, Brother David Dave, Brother Daryl Thornhill, and Brother Yusef. He's going to
So like
send
Ali,
King.
can I just announce something? I would like to remind all of the true disciples of Christ members and those on the outside looking in. You're wanting to join the true disciples of Christ. What are you waiting for? We just want to announce our next high holy day. It would be Yahushua's Passover, which is actually going to take Purim. Purim is going to be first, but the major high holy day is going to be the Passover. And we're going to be celebrating the Passover around April the 16th. And then thereafter, the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So April the 16th, 2022 will be the festivity of the Passover. Not really sure if we're going to gather for Purim. I'll get back with you on that and see how many people is actually willing to gather for that. But we're going to plan doing the calendars now for this Passover, which the Most High says is mandatory for the occupant, right? And keep in mind, unclean and cannot attend Yahushua's Passover. Thank you, Moreh Ali. I just wanted to put that out there. And we will be coming up with the date for Purim. And again, to all of you on the outside looking in, you're tuning into this channel. And if you believe what you hear on here week after week, the brothers coming on Tuesday nights and Friday nights. And if you believe what you're hearing is the truth, because we're in fact teaching the truth, then what are you waiting for to join? So I'm going to turn it back over to Moreh Ali. He's doing an excellent job. So be certain to give a thumbs up. Turn it back over to you, Moreh Ali. Shalom.
Thank you so much,
Excellent
Kahan Tazadaq. Thank you. With that being said, brothers and sisters, we were looking up that word etymology. Once again, we know that we would be brought to a land in which language we would not know, neither will we understand. So we have to become what I call etymologists. But before we can become anything, we have to have an understanding of what that word etymology actually means. And once again, I'm in big red. I'm in big red, letting the truth be told, okay? Etymology, okay? The origin and historical development of a linguistics form as shown by determining its basic elements. And we talk about linguistics, we're talking about the language in its original state. You know what I mean? And its original state. Not a burnt piece of toast with a bunch of jelly and sugar on it. Look, let's get to the origins. That's just a burnt piece of toast at the end of the day. That's all that is. So this is what we're doing when we apply etymology. We're finding out the word's origin. Where did it first start at? What was its original meaning? Okay. Another word within that word of etymology is etymon. And I want to spell that word too, etymology, so that we all have an understanding how it's spelled. It's Etymology. Etymon is spelled Etymon. The definition of it is an earlier form of a word in the same language or in an ancestral language. A morpheme or word which derives its derivatives and compounds are formed. So once again, we're going back to its earliest definition, okay? So with that being said, when you need to know the definitions such as man, woman, marriage, start in that Bible first, okay? Because like I said, we're talking about etymology here and we're all going to be etymologists, right? So that Bible is the oldest written text out here. It predates way before the so-called Constitution. It predates way before the Bill of Rights, the Magna Carta. That Bible predates all of that stuff. So if you really want to know the definition of a word, find it in that Bible first and then use that Strong's Concordance. And you'll see the blessing that's given to you once you do use it like that, okay? So start using the Bible and link it up with a Strong's Concordance. The first time Egypt is used in the Bible is in Genesis chapter 12, verse 10. If one of you brothers will please expound upon Genesis chapter 12, verse 10, I would greatly appreciate it, because that's the very first time that word Egypt, remember, is being used.
Kahan. It's the book of Bereshith, chapter 12, verse 10. And there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down into Egypt to sojourn there. For the famine was great, was grievous in the land.
Okay. As you can see here, I'm going to put this up to the screen. I don't know if you all can see. Nah, it's not going to work out that way, but grab your Strong's Concordance if you have one.
So I could just once more, Ali. So I just want to announce. I actually look. So it looks like Purim 2022 is actually going to take place March the 16th and 17th. This year, Purim will take place March 16th and 17th, and then the 16th of April will be the Passover, and thereafter the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So we're giving you a heads up here. There should be no reason that no member within Tazadaq is unable to attend these festivities as ordained by the Most High and His Son. So go ahead and annotate this on your calendars near. And again, Purim will be March the 16th through 17th, 2022. The Passover will be April the 22nd, 2022. The water, Ali. Toda Rabbah.
Tawada, thank you so much, King. With that being said, we were looking at that word Egypt, and the first time that word Egypt appears is in Genesis chapter 12, verse 10. Okay? Now we're going to go ahead and use that Strong's Concordance. I've already taken the liberty of turning, in fact, where I found that word Egypt, and it gives me an address to go to. So those of you at home who actually have a Strong's Concordance, and like I said, it doesn't have to have that letter H in front of it, but if it does, that means Hebrew. And if it doesn't, this is the address I like for you to turn to. It's H4714. The first word next to it is pronounced Mizraim. The next word to it is dual, spelled D-U-A-L. So when I say that, I'm referring to that word Egypt. So it's saying Egypt has a dual, okay? That's a dual meaning. You got the physical landmass, and then you got the spiritual aspect of Egypt, the landmass, okay? With that being said, it tells us to go to the address of H4693. I'm still in the Strong Concordance, and as I go to H4693, the first English word that I could pronounce is spelled M-A-S-O-R, Masor, which is ironic. I was able to find that word spelled in my copyright 1984 dictionary, and it is, in fact, a Hebrew word. I'm going to find that and share with you something I thought that was pretty profound. Okay, found it. Masor. It's a Hebrew word meaning hand over. So when they got off that ship, they didn't go buy souvenirs, folks. They didn't go to the nearest beachfront. They was handed over. Isn't that crazy? And we find all of this in the Strong's Concordance. So we know now what happened to those folks that were on that ship once they were brought here. Of course they were handed over. Okay? With that being said, 4693 was our last address. The next word tells us to go to No, actually, the next word is limit. Okay. So not only would they be handed over to someone else once they got off that ship, but they would go through what's called, the next word here is called limit. Okay. They and their descendants would be put limitations on. Limitations like, hey, you can't vote. Hey, you can't eat here. Hey, you can't shop here. Hey, Starbucks don't do this, etc., etc., etc. They will be put limitations on. Let's go to H4692 because this is where H4693 is taking us to. Okay. H4692 says siege. Okay. So when they got off that boat, they were put under siege. I want to share a definition of that word siege so that we can have a better understanding of what in fact that means. So bear with me 1 second while I turn to that. You know, I had so much help at the gathering. Shoot, those brothers was, boy, they was toting all those books pretty well. And I'm so blessed to have been there to deliver this message to the people. Bear with me 1 second, folks. S-E.
Hope folks are following along, whether with the concordance or a you can look online and find one and follow along as well.
Okay, how much are they running now online, Doc?
I just mean from a website. Just from a website. Just look up the as you say, the reference numbers.
Oh yes, yes indeed.
But you probably find one in your local bookstore. Not too expensive. That is if they still sell um truth in those bookstores. Most of it is just a bunch of folly and witchcraft now.
Okay, I was able to find that word. Thank you so much. Siege, a fortitude placed to force its surrender, a persistent attack. A persistent attack what happened to these faces that look like mines that got off that ship. A persistent attack. That's still going on today. Constantly, persistently being attacked. Okay? Us as a people, this is happening too. With that being said, H4692 suggests that we go to H6696. So in your Strong's Concordances, go to H6696. Okay. I'm there myself. Okay. And it says H6696 takes us to one of the first words on here, and it's called cramp. Okay. So as we look at that word cramp, let's see, H46, you find the words cramp. I want to define that word cramp actually, because it's very ironic how I was able to share with a few folks actually what that definition meant. And if you'll bear with me, I'm going to get there right now. This is actually one of my smaller books. Okay, I have cramped. Okay. Definition number 2 says to affect with a cramp or crimp, to restrain from free action. So they're telling you what's going on in this trip to America. It said that they would be restrained. It said that they would be held against their will. You know, with that being said, they say a picture says 1,000 words. So I want to show you this photo here. And this is coming out of the Great Nile Valley Contributions to Civilization. And if you turn to page 34, and I'm going to show this to you, this is what it was on that ship. Okay. Packed like sardines. But I beg to differ. I think sardines still had more room than the people that were on this ship here. Okay. So, with that being said, I'm sure the so-called black man and so-called black woman of America and friends of the so-called black man and black woman of America, by now you're getting an idea of what and who this nation of people are. turn with me to your Bibles and Deuteronomy, as it's pronounced in Hebrew, Deborahim. Deborahim chapter 11, verse 27 and 28. If one of you Hebrew Israelite kings will assist me with that.
It's the book of Deborahim,
Mm-hmm.
chapter 11, verse 27.
Okay.
Barak, a blessing, if ye obey the commandments of the Supreme Allahim Yahweh, which I command you this day. And a curse, if ye will not obey the commandments of Yahweh, your Supreme Allahim, but turn aside out of the way which I command you this day, to go after other gods which ye have not known.
Oh, wow. Wow. And how is God spelled in that particular precept, Ak?
That's little g, little o, little d, little s.
Okay. Okay, folks. If you really look up that, a lot of these pagan celebrations that you all are partaking in, you come to find out this big one coming up here soon on the 25th. It's the celebration of Nimrod. Okay. And if you look up Nimrod, it's spelled little g, little o, little d. Or if you look up the god of Mithra, this is another deity that they worshipped on this particular day. It has nothing to do with Yahushua. It has nothing to do with the Most High Son. It has nothing to do with him whatsoever. You know, and a lot of your pastors, that's why I'm still saying whoa, which means stop scattering the sheep. Some of these pastors are partaking in this, you know, pagan celebration. What? Which doesn't make much sense, folks. Not when you sit up here and bring the reference books and ask the Most High to lead you, okay? So with that being said, Ak, if you'll please turn to Isaiah. That's Isaiah chapter 45, verse 5.
It's the book of Yeshaya, chapter 45, verse 5. I am Yahweh, and there is none else.
Mm-hmm.
There is no Elohim beside me.
Mm-hmm.
I girded thee,
Mm-hmm.
though thou hast not known me.
Mm. Mm. I'll spell gird real quick. I want to look that word up because I know that's one a lot of us aren't familiar with.
Gone. Gird, or girded. Girded.
Girded. Gird. Gird. To encircle. So although you didn't even know the Most High, he still set up there and girded you, which meant to encircle you, to fasten you, or it says, as if with a belt or a band, to equip or endow, to prepare yourselves. Yahweh is great. You see, even when you didn't know him and you wonder how you made it through that scenario, he equipped you for that. He encircled you. He used you. He was like a seatbelt on you, even though you didn't even know the Most High. And another thing, can you go to Deuteronomy? No, this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 45, verse 7. We're gonna go ahead and blow another one out of the water real quick.
Gone. It's the book of
Mhm.
Yeshaya, chapter 45, verse 7. I form the light
Okay,
and create darkness.
okay,
I make peace
okay.
and create evil.
All right, let's stop right there. He creates peace and he creates evil. So stop giving the devil credit for anything, yo. He ain't got no juice. That's the Most High doing that stuff. He said, I create good and I create evil. But it's a test, folks. You pass the test, you get the monies. And it don't always have to do with Federal Reserve notes or Benjamins or dollar bills. It could be wisdom. Pass the test, get the monies, testimonies. Go ahead and finish it out, Ak.
I, Yahweh, do all these things.
Mm. He telling you right there, I do all these things. Did the pastor ever say that? Did the pastor ever stop and say, hey, Stop giving the devil credit. He ain't running nothing. It's the Most High testing you. It's always the Most High giving the devil permission to do whatever. And so you can get tested and pass. You see, when you pass that testimony, you best believe it's somebody else on this earth that's going through the same thing, and you've been given a prescription by way of that Bible to give to them and cure them. That's what a testimony is. Okay? With that being said, let's go to Deuteronomy 28, verse 41, Ak.
A lot of these passages make it seem like there's some eternal battle between the Most High and the devil,
No.
which is really you're subliminally saying that the Most High has a limit,
He's
and
limitless.
stating that that he is in some conflict with the devil, and there's some sort of situation there.
Okay.
But this is the book of Deuteronomy. You said 28 and 31?
28, 41, Ak.
Come on. It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 41. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity.
So it's telling you right there, some of your sons and daughters will go into captivity. I like to fast forward and put your mindsets into a courtroom setting. Okay? There's been plenty of mothers and fathers sitting in the bleachers, okay, while they've watched their sons and daughters go off to prison. And there was nothing they could do. Into captivity they go, and there's nothing that they can do about it. You see, this is an arena in which we weren't taught that type of self-defense in. But you can learn it by staying tuned. You can learn how to defend yourselves, because that old stick that they was hitting a lot of us with, yeah, that don't bother a lot of us brothers that's on this particular channel, because we understand what's going on in that arena. But I want to point back to Deuteronomy 28:41. It says your sons and daughters will go into captivity. This is still happening today. And we do it willingly, without knowledge. Oh my goodness, that's in the Bible too. One of the brothers, if you'll bring out Hosea chapter 4, verse 6. Because so much of this stuff is happening to us because we don't have the knowledge of this stuff. And enough's enough, folks. Don't you know how we have to beat this race? It's not about bronze anymore. It's about wits. Let's have Hosea chapter 4, verse 6, huh?
It's the book of Hosea, chapter 4, verse 6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge.
Yes.
Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy supreme Allahim. I will also forget thy children.
So not only he gonna forget you, the priests and princesses, he gonna forget your children too, the Most High. Because our people are destroyed because of lack of knowledge. Didn't I tell you all why, in fact, I kept the books? Why I keep so many books? Because I'm in a land of language I do not understand, nor would I know it's what they say. And here it is, Hosea 4:6, saying, I'll be destroyed because of that. And that's exactly what has happened to many of us. Not just myself. My gosh, all the hell I caught by thinking I was a Negro, or a so-called black man, or a so-called colored, or a so-called African American. And that Bible, Deuteronomy 28, states that you would be a byword, and I embraced it because that's what they taught me I was. But going through trials and tribulations in life, I come to find the truth. I come to find the truth, and I'm so thankful for it. With that being said, can you please turn to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verses 48 and 49, please?
It's the book of Deborah, chapter 28, Verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which Yahweh shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst,
Mm,
and in nakedness,
mm,
and in want of all things.
my goodness.
And he shall put a yoke of iron
Let's stop.
upon.
Let's stop. Put a yoke of iron. A yoke of iron. Go ahead and finish that out, huh?
Come on. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck
Kang.
until
Mm-hmm. Go
he
ahead, huh?
have destroyed thee.
Kang. A yoke of iron. They say a picture says 1,000 words, right? I want you all to pay very close attention to this next picture. And if in fact this resembles you, if in fact you have hair like this individual, or if you can relate to this photo, you most definitely are a Hebrew Israelite. But just look how that Bible verse right there turns itself into real time. Check this out, brothers and sisters. That's that yoke of iron right there around your neck. They say a picture says 1,000 words. That's it in real time, folks. And all this was already prophesied. And this is due to serving gods unlike the one that created you. This ain't no race war here. This is what's happening to a lot of us because we've turned our back on our creator. Only a fool plays the race game because somebody at the end of the day, the race will be over. Okay, and that day could be today for many of us who choose to accept this knowledge. But they say a yoke of iron is placed around your neck. What other nation of people you know that had yokes of irons displayed on their neck? Okay, my goodness. Let's turn to our King James Bible. Let's go to Isaiah, the book of Isaiah, chapter 5, verse 13, Kings.
Book of Yeshaya, chapter 5, verse 13. Therefore, my people are gone into captivity
Hmm.
because they have no knowledge, and their honorable men are famished.
Let's stop. Honorable men. Some of you may look at these so-called modern day pastors as so-called honorable men. But you hear what the Most High saying? They famished. I mean, they lacking something. And that something is the spirit of Ruach. With this spirit, you're compelled to tell the truth. Anybody that comes in this knowledge, they don't stay the same. Their eating habits change, their vocabulary change, their thinking changes. I mean, so much things change for your better. Because I'm going to tell you something. This type of new knowledge, this will welcome you into the next life to come. This is the same thing they're doing up there. Let's go ahead and continue on.
So, because they have no knowledge, and their honorable men are famished,
Mm,
and their multitude dried up with thirst.
yeah, let's stop. Multitude is dried up. That's why ain't nobody in the church houses. You don't think the Most High sending this so-called young generation down here to decipher between BS and real talk? That's why they're not sitting up in them church houses. Look here, you can put a baby in front of give a baby a cell phone. Watch that baby work that cell phone over better than you can. Most High say the truth shall come out of the lips of the babes. And here it is, our young folks, my younger generations, they don't have nobody kicking this truth. And they sure not sitting up there in some of those honorable churches that is doing nothing for the people. So here it is, yeah. The church done dried up. Because which is really crazy. Because at one point in time, my generation, that's something we did. You know, we didn't know no better. We didn't know TD Slick was out here slicking us. I didn't know every time I went to Sunday service that it was because they was put that together. Its origin is worshiping the sun God. I didn't know none of that. Continue, Ak.
Verse 14. Therefore hell hath enlarged herself
Mm,
and opened her mouth without measure,
mm,
and their glory and their multitude and their pomp, and he that rejoiceth shall descend into it.
mm. Salaki, yeah, that got me with the hell opening up and enlarging. That's a Bible verse that say the road of destruction is wide and the most high road is narrow. Because you won't catch us Hebrew Israelites practicing in all that heavy eating of foolishness and stuff like that. That's just not in our nature to do that. You see, we have a culture. So our culture tells us not to practice these so-called, they ain't so-called, these things are blasphemous to the most high. Is a downright shame. Like I said, another thing too, I like for you all out in the audience to contemplate. Start asking yourselves, who in fact, or ask your teacher, who do you call your God? Once you find out your teacher does not serve the same God you serve, why are you sending your kids there? So they can come home unlike the kids that you originally raised for 12 years? Come on, sisters. Come on, brothers. These are the things we have to start asking ourselves and teaching our children to ask them so-called teachers that you're putting in front of them. I mean, my gosh, 3, 5, 12 years of false indoctrination, false doctrine, and then you wonder why your kids come home unlike the kids that you originally raised. Because you're putting them in front of teachers who have not the same God as you. And you wonder why our kids are coming home raising the kind of trouble that they're raising. No one wants to ask these type of questions, but I guarantee once you become a member, once you take these studies serious, you'll start, most high start downloading that kind of information to you. Ask them, ask them, ask them. And then when you ask these teachers and you find out that kind of stuff, get your kids out of there. Okay, the public food system. I can guarantee that public food system ain't breaking it down like this. Go ahead and continue on.
Verse 15. In
Salaki,
the
Salaki. Let's go ahead and go to the book of Lamentations, King. Lamentations chapter 1, verse 3 and verse 5. I tell you, we really have to start contemplating those questions. When you come to find out your kids are being taught by someone who doesn't even worship the same God as you. That's why I tuned into this channel. That's why I became a member of Tazadaq, because I've asked the Most High to align me with the brother who loves him just as much as I do, who's out here kicking nothing but the facts. Just thankful. Let's go ahead. Lamentations chapter 1, verse 3 and 5.
Con. This book of Lamentations, chapter 1, verse 3. Judah is gone into captivity because of affliction and because of great servitude. She dwelleth among the heathen.
And hold on, Silicon. Once you do the research, you'll come to find out that they're talking about you, faces like mine, you Yahudians. Man, I bet your pastor ain't never told you that. Continue, Ak.
Con. She dwelleth among the heathen. She findeth no rest.
Mm,
All her persecutors overtook her between the straits.
mm,
Verse 4. The ways of Zion do mourn, because none come to the solemn feast. All her gates are desolate, her priests sigh, her virgins are afflicted, and she is in bitterness.
mm.
Her adversaries are the chief, her enemies prosper.
Hold
For
on, hold on,
Yahweh,
hold on, hold on, hold on. Say your adversaries are the chief. Who is the so-called chief of the free United States? They call him chief and commander. Who is that today?
it's Joey. Let's go with
Okay,
Joey.
okay, right on. I was going to say let's not spray him, but yeah. And they telling you right there, your chief will be your adversary. Man, is he not? Have they not been? All these false promises, and when you get up there, you just say, let's continue on.
Come on. Her adversaries are the chief.
Hmm.
Her enemies prosper. For Yahweh hath afflicted her for the multitude of her transgressions.
Hmm.
Her
My good.
children,
Hmm.
her children are gone into captivity before the enemy.
Her children have gone into captivity before the enemy. Hmm. With that being said, brother, if you'll please turn to Ezekiel chapter 39, verse 22 through 23. This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 39, verse 22 and 23, please.
This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 39, verse 22. So the house of Yasharallah shall know that I am Yahweh, their supreme Allahan, from that day and forward.
King, King. Let's also have the book of Joel, Joel, chapter 3, verse 1.
Do you want that 23?
Oh, yes, Silica, please.
Verse 23. And the heathen shall know that the house of Yasharallah went into captivity for their iniquity. Because they trespassed against me, therefore hid I my face from them, and gave them into the hand of their enemies. So fell they all by the sword.
Okay. And you know, today we're not using swords or anything like that. We're using guns. And many of us have succumbed to those very guns. And here it is, our original captors, they knew we was slipping. They knew. They just didn't show up on the ship of Lubeck, the good ship Jesus. They didn't just show up there just because that was just a place to go. They had already knew what was going on and why they attacked us. With that being said, brother, if you'll expound upon Joel chapter 3, verse 1.
The book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 1. For behold, in those days and in that time,
yes,
when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. Continue.
Okay. No, that's good right there, Rock. With that being said, let's go to Amos. This is the book of Amos, chapter 7, verse 17, Rock.
This is the book of Amos, chapter 7, verse 17.
Yes.
Therefore, thus saith Yahweh, thy wife shall be an harlot in the city.
Let's stop. The wife shall be a harlot in the city. Okay? Oh my, what I tell you, brothers, every time. Whenever I can't figure out how to cut this, but nevertheless, they said that your wife will be a harlot in every city. Now, what nationality do you mainly see around here wearing the very tight yoga pants? I know Esau's, his so-called dehydrated kind, is starting to wear them, but it's races like mine or whatnot that are the females that are out here dressing more so like harlots. They're actually starting a revolution as far as all this harlot type dressery. You see, our people are leading this race right here in America. You can go outside right now, go to your local grocery store. You have sisters who aren't dressing modest. And I'll just leave it at that. Go ahead, Ankh.
Therefore, thus saith Yahweh, thy wife shall be an harlot in the city, and thy sons and thy daughters shall fall by the sword.
Whoa! Once again, sons and daughters falling by swords. And of course, I'm not talking about swords, I'm talking about weapons, because they're talking about in this day and time today, what's going on. It's not swords we falling by, folks. They're talking about guns. All those killings that took place last year and the year before that. I mean, my goodness, it's going to start up again. But go ahead and continue on.
And thy land shall be divided by line.
Okay. So you think about the Mixie-Dixie line. You can't cross this line unless you look like such and such and such. Or how about let's take it a bit further? Hey, boy, you got your papers? These are all Israelites. If you ever seen those slave movies and you say, man, that brother looked like one of my brothers, that brother could possibly be me, you're probably a Hebrew Israelite. If you could say you felt some kind of way when that young man said, oh my gosh, I can't breathe, take your knee off my neck, probably a Hebrew Israelite or a friend of a Hebrew Israelite. Let's go ahead and continue on.
And thou shalt die in a polluted land. And Yasharallah shall surely go into captivity forth of his land.
You all must understand that this landmass in which we are now, it is polluted. I can remember plenty of times a couple of oil wells down here in the state that I stay in actually flooding out into the ocean, and if you look at a lot of I know Lake Erie, I'm originally from that area up there, very, very polluted area. So these lands are becoming polluted. If not the physical pollution, it's the mental and spiritual pollution that's right here in this landmass right now that we're in. It most definitely is polluted. The mindsets most definitely. Look at what you can do with a license when two guys that look like me get together. And you don't think this place is polluted? Come on. Come on now. Come on now. You walk into your grocery store, matter of fact. They got grapes sitting up on the stand that ain't got seeds in them. Now, the Most High say, matter of fact, can you go to Genesis chapter 1, verse 29? One of you good brothers?
Got you.
I didn't want you to lose your place on that, but it's very important that I go ahead and show, in fact, how polluted this land is in which we're in right now on all kinds of levels. Due to the fact of being on YouTube, I can't go into great detail about more of these pollutions, so I'll digress and be a bit gentle in my presentation. But can you please share with us Genesis chapter 1, verse 29, please?
It's the book of Genesis, Bereshith, chapter 1, verse 29. And Yahweh said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed.
Let's stop. He says, I give you a tree and the fruit that has seeds in it. When you go to your local grocery store and you purchase those seedless grapes, guess what? That's pollution. The Most High don't put nothing here that don't reproduce itself. Okay? So think about that. How are they getting that seed not to yield seeds? How are they getting that grape not to yield seeds? They hitting that grape with a little bit of radiation so that its offspring would be seedless. And that little bit of radiation, time and time again, will make you sick because it's a pollutant. And then your folks are suffering from Hosea chapter 4, verse 6. My people are destroyed because of lack of knowledge. You end up in the hospital. And guess what them Bammers done set up there and brought you? Some green grapes, seedless. Oh, you might as well go and kick the bucket, okay? My goodness. So, folks, you got to understand the land we're in is most definitely polluted. Let's go ahead and continue on. I believe that we were in Amos chapter 7, verse 17, King.
Come on. You want the next verse?
No, if you've done 17, that would be it.
Come on.
I'm going to actually go back to the book that we spoke about earlier, and this is the Nile Valley Contributions to Civilization. by Anthony T. Broader. And I'm going to turn to page 30. Okay. And this is actually, I want to show you exactly what I'm looking at here. I don't know if you all can make out, in fact, who that good brother right there is. Does anybody have a clue?
La. Oh wait, no, that's Malcolm X.
Okay, I was going to
Yeah,
say.
I couldn't see it first.
Okay. So this is a famous quote by Minister Malcolm L. Shabazz. Okay. He says, if a German Shepherd were born in Baltimore, Maryland, it would still be called a German Shepherd. If a French Poodle were born on the moon, it would still be called a French Poodle. Malcolm X once stated that if a cat had kittens in an oven, you definitely wouldn't call them biscuits. What then would one call an African who has been enslaved? Salaki. What then would one call a Hebrew Israelite who has been enslaved, transported across the transatlantic ocean, and renamed Negro? This is the $64 billion question that 35 trillion former Negroes, coloreds, and blacks currently living in the United States are struggling to answer, which is ridiculous. We're in the age of technology. How is it that Malcolm X knew this then, that we'd be still suffering from Deuteronomy 28, verse 37, calling ourselves these bywords? Malcolm X even knew that then. He just said if a poodle had poodles on the moon, you wouldn't call them anything but poodles. Same thing with a German Shepherd. You wouldn't call him anything other than a German Shepherd if he was born in Hawaii. Stay tuned, folks. Stay tuned. With that being said, last but most important script is these last two, which comes out of I believe this is 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 21, Ox. We're at our last two scripts here.
It's the book of 2 Peter, chapter 2, verse 22.
21.
Salak 21.
Okay.
For it had been better for them not to have known the way of righteousness.
Okay, let's stop. Let's stop. So it'd been better if you all didn't know this information. Okay? It'd have been better if you all had taken the previous advice. If you don't like truth, if you don't like facts, if you want somebody to lie to you, it'd be better if you didn't know this information. Continue on.
Then after they have known it.
Okay, so this is what's gonna happen to you after you turn your back on these truths. Rewind it back and play it over again, because so much has come out tonight. And for you to deny yourself that truth, if you leave here tonight and you're still calling yourself these bywords, these epithets, shame on you. Hosea chapter 4, verse 6 is you all day. Go ahead and continue, please.
After they have known it, to turn from the holy commandment delivered unto them.
Then to turn your back. That's like a dog feeding on his own vomit, folks. That's exactly what that is. Let's go to Ecclesiastes, King, chapter 12, verse 13. This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verse 13.
Book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verse 13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear Yahweh and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man.
Okay, that was the final conclusion. Okay, to do to every commandment of the Most High. He is our creator. We didn't create ourselves. He already gave us a set of rules and instructions, dietary laws, things to say, things to wear. All that's right there within that Bible. This is the final conclusion, to obey every commandment. Don't let the world sit up there and trick you. And if you're one of those out there who says, well, because I always ask the people, Who are you getting your directions and instructions from? Oh, they myself. How selfish of you. They're your own. You like you created your own self. You the kind of guy that didn't tell me you done stepped out the womb and told the doctor to step aside. I'll cut my own umbilical cord. What kind of fool is that? Look at here, folks. You got to start aligning yourself with those instructions. You know, that Bible, Bible, biblical instructions before leaving earth, because that's a guarantee all of us tonight have, is that we have to give up the ghost. And if you go up there and you're so full of man's doctrine, you're a fool. Okay, because that don't even play up there. There's no gate for African Americans. There's no gate for Negroes. The Most High don't even say he create that type of thing in the Bible. So why cling on to it? He don't ever say I created no African American, no Negro, no color. He don't say that. Man taught you that. And Most High warned you that you be called that. With that being said, can you please turn to Psalms chapter 94, verse 16? I love this one so much because I believe, in fact, this is why all of us is here tonight. And I know that every great prophet wants this from you. Every great Messiah wants this from you. And that's to repent, brothers and sisters. That's been the message of any of our folks. Repent tonight and stop eating those seedless grapes. Okay? Repent tonight and stop calling yourself these bywords and epithets. Repent tonight and get yourself some good reference books so that you can understand this. If you don't get the books, at least you can tune in. But with that being said, King, let's go to Psalms chapter 94, verse 16, please.
Book of Psalms, chapter 94, verse 16. Who will rise up for me against the evildoers? Or who will stand up for me against the workers of iniquity?
King, Yahweh Shai wants to know who will rise up with him to stand against the workers of iniquity. Someone had to stand up and put their lives on the line, just like Christ put his life on the line. Who will continue to be representatives of Christ? You will. And everyone who takes this time out and listen to this truth. This is not a religion. We are the people of the Bible. You did not learn this information in your religious institutions. So you cannot give the religious institutions credit for what the Most High gave me to give you. We have the same blood as Christ flowing through our DNA. We are from that same royal bloodline of Christ. We are direct descendants of Moshe, better known as Moses, of Isaiah, of Jeremiah. We are the Hebrew people of this Bible, folks. This is our book. With that being said, I would like to share with you a very ancient proverb. He who knows not that he knows not is a fool. Avoid that, brother or sister. He who knows not and knows that he knows not is a student. Teach that, brother and sister. He that knows and knows that he knows is asleep. Awaken that, brother or sister. He who knows and knows that he knows is a wise man. Follow him. You see, all these people reside within self. Okay? Know thyself, and to the Most High Yahweh be true. Thank you so much for allowing me to bring you all this truth tonight. There were so many things that was discovered based on facts, not opinions. I still have yet to share my opinion with you. That's a luxury I only give to my queen when I lock my door behind myself. And I suggest you all take upon that same cross. Keep your wits about yourself, because at any time someone will try to solicit you and bring you out of that peace you have in your mind. Okay? You are not a Negro. You are not color. You are not Afro. You are not even an African American. You are a Hebrew Israelite. Okay? And my so-called friends of the so-called Negroes and female Negroes, if you heard something tonight that can help enlighten one of your fellow friends, one of your fellow brothers, maybe even your wife, maybe even your husband, share this information with them. It's so very important that we move ourselves from the American mindset. I mean, just think about it. If you didn't know this information, you can thank your pastor. You can thank that public school, public elementary, public radio, public television, public. This is a private choice you've all made tonight to stay tuned. And I'm so blessed that a lot of you did choose to stay tuned tonight. Now you know. Now what are you going to do with it? With that being said, would any of the other brothers like to share anything?
Kahan. It's an excellent lesson tonight. Moreh Ali
Okay.
telling people the real truth about themselves and giving them knowledge of self. I think
Okay.
that's one of the most important things someone can have, because then you find that you actually have a purpose on this plane of existence to serve the
Okay.
Most High and keep His commandments. And in that, you find life, you find rejuvenation, you find a reborn self. You know, and it's and there's no gate for those folks that like to say, "Oh well, I know what I've known for so long, and it just is
Yeah.
what it is, and I'm not gonna change." After hearing this, wouldn't you want to change? I mean, after hearing that you've been fooled for so long, wouldn't it be a good thing to maybe say, "Wow, maybe I should change. Maybe I should follow the commandments of the Most High. Maybe I should listen to brothers that's really bringing out the truth that
Okay.
the Bible is written for, the truth, not the um, misconceptions and mischievousness that these wicked pastors and priests have kind of mangled up the word to become. But it's really knowledge of self to me is one of the most important things someone can have. And who wouldn't want to be Yashar Allah? I mean,
That's right.
there's imposters out there pretending to be Yashar Allah for how many years now? So it's
Yeah.
everybody wants to be Israel.
That's right. That's right.
And if you understand, if you read the scriptures, I mean, for a little bit, you'll see that the Bible, eh, specifically the Most High, the book is about Yashar Allah. It's about
Hmm.
Israel. He says, "My people, my people, my people."
That's
So I
right.
mean, we're calling out to His people. That's
That's
what it
right.
is. But I just was definitely sharing this video. Always sharing T-Doc videos, and
Hmm.
I hope people really get this message. But the ones that are here, the ones that are meant to hear, are gonna hear it. You know.
Okay. Okay. I want to also, expound upon not accepting those bywords as to describe yourself. I always like to give the example if we had a Japanese woman sitting here, basically a Japanese man sitting here, and he and I got into a bit of an argument, he would probably cuss me out in Japanese and go over to back to Japan. If I had a Russian brother here and he and I got into an argument, he would probably cuss me out in his Russian language and go back to Russia. What do I in turn curse him out and say? Something in English and go back to England? They'll tell you off ready. I ain't supposed to be there at all. Okay. And then if you yourself are calling yourself a black man, I'm willing to pay $500 cash app tonight for someone to show me an official map that has black land on it, or Negro land, or color land, or African American land. Okay? I got $500 right now, Federal Reserve notes, ready to go out to anybody who can show me an official map that states that. You won't find something like that, folks. So you got to let go of that pagan mindset. That Japanese man, I'll be out of $500. The Russian, I'll be out of $500. The Chinaman, I'll be out of $500. So think about that a lot of the times. And truly, this is what your modern day pastors are supposed to tell you. But enough about those guys. Welcome to the new world. You know, welcome to right knowledge, as Kahan Tazadaq says it. And Tazadaq, disciples of Christ. Folks, you got to start using your brain. We've been taught so much pollution. Now it's time to clean it up and get it right. My gosh, how do you know, in fact, where you're going in life if you don't even know who you are? How do you know where you're going? How do you know what to eat? You can't follow that crap that they come up with, man. 8 cups of water a day? That's ridiculous. That food pyramid, that has nothing to do with you. They just got a regular fish sitting up there. I can't even tell on that pyramid, does it have scales or does it have fin? I'm a Hebrew Israelite. I can't eat it if it doesn't have a fin and scales on it. I ain't supposed to eat it. It's not clean.
Kahan.
They tell you to go get that steak with blood in it. Man, I can't eat that. Most I said there's life in that blood. Don't do it. That's why I say we have to align ourselves back up to the regimen that our Creator has gotten for us. Not man. Man don't know nothing, and what he got going on don't last long anyway, folks. You know, a lot of the decisions he makes is based off emotions in his pockets, which is ridiculous. Because earlier in this lesson, like I said, he keeps telling you and I, oh, we're equal. We're equal. Or they tell you this is an equal opportunity employment. If that's the case, find the highest person paid at that job and equalize that pay for everybody, since there's an equal opportunity employer. Shoot, they ain't doing that.
At all. At all.
But he's steady telling you this is an equal opportunity employer until he finds something on my background, right? Well, you didn't pay no mind to Jack, don't pay no mind to John. But this ain't an equal opportunity employment. There's nothing equal about what's happening here, folks. That's the facade, and that's just the beginning. That's just the beginning. If you didn't know tonight that you be a byword in every nation with a face like this, they'll be calling you the same word, that N word. That's the word I've been trying to avoid all night. You know, so with that being said, if you've been called that, guess what you are? A Hebrew Israelite. You just have to do the studies. You got to find yourself, people. You got to find yourself so you know where, in fact, in life you are going. I know what my purpose is now. I didn't know it before this information. I did not know it. But now I got eyes, I can see. Now I got ears, I can hear. I don't lean into my own understanding. And a lot of you can make that quantum leap tonight because many of you have the ability to read, to comprehend. That's one thing I can say about this young generation. You know, they say prove it. That's how I know the Most High is talking to these young folks out there, because that Bible say prove all things. Young folks want to know, where you see that at? Show me in the book. And then yesteryear generation was just accepting that Kool-Aid. For what? Man, it might be sweet, but it ain't good for you. What we're giving you tonight, it's good for you and it's sweet. Take it to the bank. Take it to a book. Like I said, these people ain't cutting me no money. These people ain't sending me not one donation. I do it because I'm supposed to sharpen the countenance of my brother according to Proverbs 27, verse 17. That's why I do it. That's why any of these brothers on this channel do it. Because many of us have that spirit in us of the Ruach to wake our people up by any means necessary. Folks, you got to wake up. There's so much stuff being hid from us. And right now, you've got an opportunity to come out of that deep sleep, because not everybody's going to come up out of it. Some people are just meant to be the slaughter. Some people's families are just meant to suffer the curses of Deuteronomy 28. It does not have to be you. The Most High say, if you turn from your evil ways and call upon him, he'll protect you. And this is what's happening tonight, folks. This is what's happening tonight. You're getting biblical edification here. My goodness, stay tuned with Kahan Tazadaq. He'll give you the financial edification here. So not only is your spirit being enhanced, man, all I can say is just stay tuned, folks. This is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. Stay tuned, and I want to put a special thanks and a very humble. I appreciate you, brothers and sisters, that showed up to the Hanukkah celebration this last Sabbath passing. It was just so good to actually be celebrating. It had something to do with my history.
Right.
My brothers and sisters that were
Yes,
part of that celebration.
Con.
My goodness, I feel so left out with these pagan holidays, but the most I got something for me, for me,
yes, sir.
Con.
Yes, King. Yes. Yes,
I ain't
King.
forgotten. It just didn't. I just ain't no cotton picker, huh? Man, I'm royalty. I'm talking a royal bloodline. I'm a Yahudian. My language is Hebrew. I'm an Israelite. Ah,
Yeah,
man,
just send him through the
man.
business.
Not only
Yeah.
found biblically, but historically, and then bloodline wise. See, I don't care what type of mad plastic surgeon gets a hold of a man and does that transformation to him. I'm just gonna go right to the bloodline and see it says XY chromosome. Okay, I know that's a man.
All right.
Okay, those mad scientists can't outwit the Most High. They can't outwit him whatsoever. Like I say, folks, we're living in the last days, and these hardships is just the beginning of what's to take place. Just the beginning of what's to take place. Okay?
Yes, 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 yes,
Inflation
yes.
going up like it is. You know, it's an easier way to do this thing. You almost have to challenge everything that this free so-called world has given you. Challenge it.
Right.
Challenge it. If he
Yes,
tells you celebrate a birthday, start in that Bible. He
right.
tells you this is what a marriage is, start in that Bible. He tells you to celebrate this, find it in the Bible. And if you can't find it in there, you shouldn't be participating in it, folks.
Absolutely.
Shouldn't
Very
be doing
simple.
it at all.
Absolutely.
That's the things we have to start asking ourselves, folks. This is a new age we coming into.
Yes, King.
You know, a lot of things that are happening in our lifetime that no generation has ever experienced, folks. Even as I was riding through, what was it, Atlanta? Now I've seen some tent cities down there, yeah. And I'm like, man, Kahan Tazadaq just said this was going on up in LA. Now I was in Atlanta, and here I am in Florida. Look, they done took over whole downtown with tents.
Wow.
Tent city.
Yeah, they got a I done seen a couple when I was downtown. I'm in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw a couple little spots posted up
Mm-hmm.
downtown.
Knowing that these are curses. To be homeless, you know that's a curse. To
Mhm.
be hungry, you know that's a curse. You know, to not have finances, you know that's a curse.
Woo!
To be
Yes, it is.
stinking, you know that's a curse.
Woo!
Okay? All those are
Yes.
curses.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes,
you don't
yes,
have to be like that with this information. You don't have to fall for the curses of Deuteronomy 28 with this information. You
yes,
can be the head and not the tail.
yes, King.
None of your sons and daughters don't have to go into captivity.
Yeah.
And all it takes is for you to sit up here and get your reference books and stay tuned. That's one thing I appreciate about Kahan Tazadaq. That brother coming with straight facts. I don't really care how you all view his
There's a
emotion
finish.
aspect of things. I respect the brother because he's 100% with the Most High's business. That's what
Right.
I love so much about him.
Yes, sir.
That's what I
Uh,
asked the Most High to do, is to put a brother in front of me that was basing this movement off of facts. And
Yes.
man, look at the Most High good to me.
Mm-hmm.
Put me right on this path, along with these other brothers too. It's an honor, Ox. I mean, this little circle with four of us in it, man. Look, they should say over the limit. Okay, that's what's supposed to be really going on. But I understand what's happening.
Right.
Mhm.
We're the minority with this mindset, brothers and sisters out there.
We
We
are the
are the
chosen few.
minority. So we must separate ourselves from this so-called mindset out there that's not conducive of the Most High. It'd be nice to wake up one day and say, yeah, what school your kid go to? Well, you know my kid's teacher is Benaiah. I know Benaiah.
Right.
My son's gym teacher is Youssef. Okay?
Yeah.
Oh, what
Yeah.
store you shop at? ABC. Man, my brother David Dave owned that store. Okay.
Right.
That's the kind of life that I'm willing to go ahead and lead, folks, because I've led it all my life another way. I've had to deal with those pagan holidays. I've had to sit up here and hear people say, you know, these pagan names. I tell them Happy Hanukkah. They look at me crazy. I tell them Happy Passover, Happy Feast of Unleavened Bread. Well, what is that? This is what you're supposed to be doing.
Kahan.
This is what you're supposed to be celebrating. I even
Absolutely.
got an opportunity to sit down and talk with a caller. And you know, I don't know what they call those guys. That's just a slang word I use. These are the you know, the ones with the collar. I'm gonna call it just what it is, the ones with the collar. I don't want to go into I don't want to go into too much great detail, but he tells me, he says, yeah. I said, well, chaplain, why is it that you choose to celebrate these pagan holidays when you can't find any of them in the Bible? He tells me simply, well, we don't do what they used to do back in those pagan things. Things have changed up. We're doing things for the better now. I said, well, find it out in the Bible where it say that's permissible. You know, that chaplain dismissed me, told me he had to go to the bathroom. I guess the spirit of the Most High done shook something up in his bowels. He had to get away from me. It's like, man, come on, man. How much more fluff can we continue to sell our people?
That's crazy.
You know, but I tell you, brothers and sisters, the buck stops here tonight. If you all continuously stay tuned, trust me, you'll find out a lot of things that you're not aware of that's happening in front of us. How about this? They tell you the days of the week in school, which is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Guess what? All those names are the name of pagan gods. Don't you know speech is powerful? You speak in pagan gods. Every time you ask that brother what the day is, you say Monday.
Wow.
You know that's a demon? And then it's not W-E-E-K, it's W-E-A-K. Weak minds for the weekend. I'm telling you, I told you we would not understand the language, nor would we understand what it means. Didn't I tell you? And get your dictionary and look up any of them 7 days of the week. The Most High ain't never said nothing about on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. He always used numbers. Man, to come around with this blasphemy.
God.
Israel calling upon pagan gods. They could have at least named one of the days Yahweh.
Yeah.
Okay. Name the seventh Yahushua something.
Right. All 7 should be Yahweh.
Okay, all day long, Rock. All day long.
All 7. You know, what's the day, Yahweh?
Back of that dollar.
Yes, sir. Yes, Yes, K.
My goodness, man. But that lets you know the power of the Most High. They hid that name from us. And I'm not even going into that J letter name. We already know J is the last letter to be added to the contemporary alphabet. How about that, pastors?
Okay.
How about that, pastors? I bet the pastors ain't never telling people that. Well, hold on today, congregation. My name is TD Big Rib, Bacon, Eggs, and Cheese. I want you all to sit up here and understand that the letter J is the last letter to be entered into the contemporary alphabet. So that couldn't have been his name. And when I say that, I mean the letter J is the little OG amongst all the letters. It's the little OG. So how a little OG gonna hold the name down as ancient as the name of the Most High Son? That makes no sense. But stay tuned. That's just the beginning. That's just the beginning. I actually got another discourse that follows up this one. You know, Most High willing, Kahan Tazadaq allows me another opportunity with you brothers to bring this information. And the next discourse is actually called, Why Are We Replacing the Title capital L, capital O, capital R, capital D, capital G, capital O, capital D as the Creator's name, Yahweh? Why are we replacing those titles with the name Yahweh? Stay tuned. We
Woo.
talking about that. We talks about that. There's even a discourse. Brothers, I tell you, there's so much going on. We have to get together more so like this than anything. We have to continue to break these breads because I'm going to tell you, they're not doing this on the public realm. What public institution you know bringing this to you? None.
Not a near nutter.
Okay? Which one of these high-dollar American pastors is kicking this type of information? None of them. They don't love, they're not really your brother's keeper.
At all.
That's why we got to keep on sticking together, Hebrew Israelite brothers, sisters, and elders, and newcomers. Guests. You don't got to sit in the background no more. The Most High says in 2 Timothy 2:15, be a work study to show thyself approved and be a workman of the truth, and you don't have to be ashamed. You don't got to be ashamed. Not when you know where you at. People respect you. You know, I get much respect when I rock this diadem. You know, the only people that are bewildered is people who got faces like mine.
Yeah.
Everybody else roll out that red carpet. I done got so many complimentary drinks. I praise the Most High. So we're going to give you this orange juice for free.
Right.
I was at a restaurant a couple of days ago, and a lot of people don't like to go to this brother's restaurant. So I'm sitting up there talking to him. I said, why is it that you don't like people coming in your restaurant? He said, man, I'll be honest with you. I don't like Negroes. I don't like black. I said, well, man, we got something in common because if I see one in here, I'm going to let you know. All right now. And you got to understand why I say that, people. It's because people who are holding on to those type of titles, they don't exist. They only exist in the imaginations of other men. And I've said countless times again, if you only choose to exist in the imaginations of other men, why are you here? Why are you here?
You're giving them power over you.
Yeah, jurisdiction. Jurisdiction.
Giving them power over you.
Yeah, because there's a set of rules and instructions you may or may not like that come along with those titles that man has come up with. You know you're at your freest when you use the title that your creator came up with. Look how good everybody else out there living.
Right. Right.
I tell you, and I come to find out, we weren't the only ones celebrating Hanukkah. Some of these very people in power, they were celebrating it too. But then they get these people these pagan holidays. Crazy. Makes no sense. It's like the people in power using the Most High's high holy days and celebrating them. But what they get is slaves / pagans out there. Man, low energy.
What's crazy is these so-called black people, they love to celebrate
Yes, they do.
Thanksgiving and Tammuz Day and Nimrod Day and all that. But then when you tell them, I told my family, hey, I'm going up to Atlanta. We're gonna be celebrating Hanukkah. The truth behind why we need to do this, as Yasha Allah, who you are, and they just said, oh, be safe. I asked them, anybody want to join? You know, nobody got hyped then when I was talking about Hanukkah. When it was Thanksgiving, everybody was having a good old jolly time.
My. And
It's
then
really sad. It's real sad.
You got this new one getting ready to come up on this pagan month on the 25th. And I want to share with you what Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 1 through 5. And I'm so glad I thought about this. And I like for the people who are participating in this broadcasting to also turn to Jeremiah chapter 10, 1 through 5. I'm going to share that with you. And I got a question to ask at the end of the day. Maybe one of my good brothers on the panel will be able to answer this. But here it is, the book of Jeremiah chapter 10. Verse 1 through 5. We probably won't even go that far. Actually, we'll stop at verse 4. It says, hear ye the word which the Most High Yahweh speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Most High Yahweh, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven. For the heathens are dismayed at them. Just real quick, so stop talking about that zodiac sign. I'm a Leo. I'm a Capricorn. I'm a Pisces. Man, those are signs of heavens, fools. And only heathens are dismayed at it. But that wasn't the Mike Tyson punch I was trying to deliver. That was one of the punches, but I'm gonna keep on going. It says in chapter 10, verse 3, for the customs of the people are vain, for one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. They deck it with silver and gold, and fasten it with nails and hammers, that it move not. Now, me and y'all brothers are in the woods. We got an axe in our hand. We chop down a tree. We make it stand upright in our homes, and we deck it with silver and gold. What are they talking about, brothers?
Wow, the Christmas tree.
Hey, and the Bible's telling you not to do it. They say,
Wow.
that is the palm tree, but speak not. They must needs to be born. You know how they get born? Your folks putting gifts up under there, and your kids looking at that tree with admiration.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's got life. If you stare at something long enough, you will see it blink because you're giving life to it. And this is what they're doing to that tree.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna tell you, you brothers and sisters out there are going into some of these so-called religious institutions, and past the $2 bill is up there, and he wants you to put something up under the tree. Tell him you ain't with that. You not with that at all. That should be your first sign to turn around and run, folks. Get him to explain Jeremiah chapter 10, 1 through 5 to you.
Come
He
on.
gonna tell you, look here, sister, you about to get the heck on out of this church with that type of talk. That's what he goes. Who told you that? Those Israelites?
Get a
Don't be
witness.
one of them Israelites.
Get a
Trust
witness.
me. Every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess. T.D. Jakes and Top Dollar Bill and Eddie Longstroke, they're going to sit up here and have to keep the truth. They're going to have to sit up here and tell the truth.
You know what they say? They always say, "Oh, that's not why we do it. That's not
Oh,
why we do it." That
Right.
right there, I don't know what to say when I hear that.
yeah. That's
How do
let you
you
know to get away from it. Get away
come?
from it. When you hear
Knowing
folks talking like that, get away from them.
knowing something is evil and trying to make up an excuse for that. That's just
Yeah, it's not good. It's not a good look. And then the congregation is also going to be punished for it.
come.
Anytime you have a shepherd leading his sheep to the wolf, come on now.
Well,
Come
brother
on.
Ali,
That's not
man,
good.
brother Ali, this Yusef, man, from Baltimore, man. Peace to the Right Knowledge family, man.
Hey, no doubt, King. No doubt, brother.
Man, I just want to say, man, you're doing such a wonderful job. I'm so blessed that the brother Tazadaq, you know, said put you in a position, you and brother Yasser, y'all be dropping so many jewels, bro. You know what I mean? Like I'm still dealing with the de facto. You know what I'm saying? With a small, how would you say? It's an imposement privilege. You know what
Okay.
I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Imposement privilege. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just overall, I'm just waiting. You know what I mean? To this process is over with. You know what I'm saying? And to knowing that I have the complete authority.
Yes.
I have the complete authority. Like
Hey,
me,
Yusef.
to me by my most high, to
Yeah.
deviate me, I man, from this imposement. But there is no but. I think the Most High is having me listen and do my due diligence and listen to my right family because as I hear you and the brother give these teachings, I think about when I was a young individual being
Mm-hmm.
set inside these churches. And this, as you said, I'm young, but I didn't feel that the energy was genuine.
Okay.
It feel like the energy was genuine. During the hot holy day, when I wasn't able to be there, I felt so hurt. Like I wanted to be there. Like I saw the video, you know what I'm saying, for the 2 hours or the hour or so, and then it went off. I felt like a little kid, you know, his big brother then, you know what I'm saying, went off, and I
Yes.
couldn't go with him. I felt so hurt. Like it felt like my family was on the other side of town, and I couldn't get no way to get to it. I felt
Hey, I
so.
know that feeling, Doc.
I'm like, man, like I be missing y'all. I wake up in the morning like 7, 8 o'clock. I be on YouTube like where the brother at? What's up? For real, like come on, man. That's my therapy, man. For real.
That's what's up.
It's
That's
it's
what's
It's such a blessing, bro, and I can't wait to. I actually see the look on these administrational, these
Yeah.
officials, when they see me as a man, knowing
Right.
my brother helped me to really digest the concept that
Yes.
man, stand here before you with the authority of our creator. Who are you to say anything to impose upon me?
Okay.
And let them know that I can be given relief.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
what? It's to think that I would even contemplate it being on somebody's corner, trying to even disperse any kind of poison to my people. Are you serious?
Okay.
I thank you. I thank you, brothers. I thank all you brothers for being here, man. I hear y'all voice.
I
I be
thank you every time I get a chance, Yusef. I know how you feel.
I
These brothers are
can't,
saving people's lives.
David,
They
David,
are sharpening iron.
the
I'm
most high,
sharpening iron.
we just keep standing strong. I know once we get out of church, it's gonna be like the jab to a degree. We're gonna infect everything with this spirit, right?
Say it, Ox. Say it.
Everything, like it's gonna be like you're gonna popping up everywhere, like two disciples of Christ, Atlanta, you know what
That's right.
I'm saying? Maryland, you know what I'm saying? Canada,
Right.
Colorado, we're gonna be everywhere, bro. And I see it because I actually, my name is Yusef, and I read the story of Yusef in the Quran, and I had scenarios manifest itself when I'm looking at certain individuals. Something happened to these individuals that was partaking in some kind of demonic kind of awakening that the Most High had me pay attention to these individuals, and something always happened. And when I read the story,
Is not mocked.
wow, I rest my physical and I seen these blessful images of me and all our brothers with on this land with this nice structure behind us, and we all having a good time. The queen over there, the elders over there having a good time communicating, universing, and I actually seen all of us standing by our cars. Now, and just communicating, you know what I'm saying? And it feels so good. I mean, the energy felt so real. I woke up, I was like, I can't wait. What does this mean? And hearing you speak tonight brought that to fruition. That's what that meant. And I know it's going to manifest itself. And with that, I yield, bro.
This is your fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you'll be victorious in that arena, Ak, because David of the Bible, he he's a Hebrew, right?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay, so with that being said, they told the descendants after David to fill out an after David if you want to win.
yeah.
But you got to fill it out. You got to fill it out.
Yeah.
Okay. Based upon facts now. We ain't talking about having no briefcase to take care of it. No.
Absolutely.
You the descendant of David, okay? After David. Come on now, man. The Most High put this stuff right in plain view for a lot of us. That's why we got to get together, because that's one of the blessings that I was bestowed upon, is to really, really get intimate with those words, brother, and be able to see more so in that word than the obvious. That's what has always has stuck with me when I thought about after David's. Wow, descendants after David. This is wow.
Put it
Man,
right in
most
your
powerful
face.
paper.
Right in your face.
I love those moments.
I've been
That's such a blessing. That's why I'm big on Psalms 133. How good and how pleasant it is for brothers to dwell together in unity. This is what we're doing now. This is what we did for the Hanukkah. How good and how pleasant it is for brothers to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious ointment that ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard that ran down to the skirts of his garment, as the dew of Harmon descended upon the mountains of Zion. There the Most High commanded the blessings, even life forevermore. So it's very important that we keep catching up. It's very important that we keep breaking this information, and it's very important to stay tuned. I'm going to tell you, Kahan Tazadaq, he brings a lot of truth. The brother don't, that's all he brings is facts to the table. That's why I don't get caught up in the shenanigans and stuff with all the haters and things like that. But eventually, those haters will be members and guests. Because, like I say, every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess.
Mm-hmm.
They say a hater is just a fan in denial, right?
Oh, I like that now.
I hate
Look here, I tell you when to
have
get
to use
scared.
that one.
Get scared when they stop talking about you.
right. Yeah, you're
That's
not.
when you get
Now,
scared. Because, hey, okay,
yeah,
either Yahweh shot and came here and took care of the business, or we not hitting them hard enough in their head with the truth, okay?
absolutely, man. I was smacked all the way with the truth today. I was listening to some old education where brothers talking about exposing the Quran. Man,
Oh, yeah.
I didn't listen to this joint since 9 o'clock this morning until I got on the call with you brothers. Man, are
Okay.
you serious? Are you serious? Like, really?
Yep.
You want to steal from the Most High people? And
Yep.
it's crazy, right? I don't know what it is when it came to church, when it came to Islam, when it came to it. Like, it felt, I'm gonna say out of 100%, I'm gonna say it felt like 40% genuine. Like something was missing. It just felt like something was missing. And when the brothers, man, listen, I was surfing just for just anything dealing with contract law, and I'm scrolling through and I see Muhammad, the truth about Muhammad, exposing the Quran. I was like, what?
Yep.
Let me get this. Man, man.
That's
My,
how you know, brother Yusuf, that's how you know you on the right frequency. See,
Mm-hmm.
once you continually align yourself with the Most High, He'll put those facts in front of your face. Because believe it or not, you're the future to go ahead and continue to keep this truth going on. It's like we got to keep passing this baton to the next generation and next generation. Because I come to realize this as far as the so-called Negroes of America.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they gather together for their family reunions. They slapping knees, they telling jokes, they smoking good, they drinking good, they reminiscing, but don't nobody break out no books. So if ain't nobody breaking out no books, guess what? This the same mindsets that was on those plantations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, slapping knees, telling jokes, eating the filth of the earth. And we're not even going to talk about the cockroaches of the sea that they call a delicacy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I say it's our time to start gathering with our families and our so-called homies and break out that truth, yo, because too many times we gathering our family members together and ain't nobody opening up no book. It's the same thing they was doing on the plantation during that time. And nah, enough's of that. That's why we like to get into the books here. That's the most valuable possession. And like I said, it's the least investment that the Negroes make out here. You know, oh man, it's ridiculous. It used to be you have to brand a nigga with a hot iron. Now all you got to do is say it's a foreign designer and he spends big money on it and buys it. Knowing that it's going out of style next year, that's what you call substance versus symbolism. Okay? That $400 shirt is nothing but symbolism. But one of these books, that's substance. That's substance all day. You can read certain books and tell yourself how to make that shirt. Man, people about to start waking up, folks. This is our time. And if they're asleep, let them sleep. They don't even know what's going on. But as many of us who are called by the Most High, brothers like yourself, Yusuf, brother like Benaiah, brother like Kahan Tazadaq, brother like you, David Dave, and many of our other Hebrew Israelite members are part of T-Doc. And outside of that, this is our time, folks. You know, the Most High say He's going to bring us back so that we're one God, one mind, one love, and one action. And that time is now, brothers and sisters. You can start, many of them. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Subscribe to the channel because Kahan, Tazadaq, and the brothers, they bringing all types of stuff to the table. Like I said, you always going to learn something. And if you're picking it up out of that Bible and you're learning something, I think you need to go take it up to your pastor and ask for a refund. Because I definitely plan to go to mine and ask for refunds because he never shared this information with me. I want my refund back. It's my money and I want it now.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I remember what that is.
And you
Hey,
know
but with that being said, Ox, I want to leave you all in shalom. I want to thank you all that tuned in tonight. I want to give a shout out to my rib, Queen Anne, to my children, Essence, to the sister Amira, to the brother Big John Tawak, all my brothers that are in the house of bondage. Stay tuned, folks. All praises be to the Most High Yahweh and His Son Yahweh Shai. Shalom, kings.
Shalom, shalom, King.
Shalom.
This
But Salaki, before we shut out, Kahan Tazadaq, would you like to say anything?
Nah, Ali, you done an excellent job, man. We appreciate it, Ali, man. All
Hey,
praises
thank,
be to the Most
thank
High,
you.
man.
Yes.
By Hashem, Ali, by Hashem.
Yeah, thank you, brothers, for bestowing this duty on me. I've been
Hey,
honestly, I've been
Ali,
waiting
I
for a
got one more
moment.
question. Hey, yo, I do have one thing, Ali.
Yes,
Do you
sir.
happen to have any bean pies over there?
Ah! I don't do those. I don't do those. But look here. Brother, you just
Ali,
brought
that
up
bow
something
tie.
about those.
Ali, but that bow tie, Ali, man.
Hey, you know I got a collection, King.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, but I heard you, brother Youssef, speaking about exposing
Oh,
the
man.
Man.
Man, so love, Ali. I thought you might have
Oh
had a
yeah,
bean or
brother, you
squash
know,
pie, though, man.
I'm old school, brother. Look, when they see this Hebrew Israelite, they guaranteed to turn their head and go the other way.
Yeah.
I don't want the seedless grapes.
Mm-mm.
Okay?
Mm-mm.
Brother Youssef, I
Yes.
wanted to also point out in that Torah, the Tanakh, the Bible, that it goes ahead and breaks down that whole Islam mindset. And like I say, I like to deliver with a lot of my discourses. I call them Mike Tyson punches. So this Mike Tyson punch I have has a lot to do with Ishmael. Do you know who Ishmael's father is in the Bible?
No.
Any of the brothers on here?
Abraham.
Ibrahim.
And Abraham was pronounced tonight as being what?
Hebrew.
Okay, so that means his son would be Hebrew. So all this other,
Yes.
so boom, like I said, another bam, Mike Tyson punch.
That
Yeah,
was the
it's Salakia. But Ishmael, Abraham's son was Ishmael, his first son. But
Dang.
because he was not out of the original seed line, the covenant was not made with him. The covenant was made with Abraham
Oh,
Isaac, which was Abraham's second son, right?
dang.
The covenant was made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But Ishmael, he, you know, he the descendancy of the people that they refer to as Muslims came out of Ishmael. They were not called Arabs. Arabs is not a nationality. When you
Mm-mm.
look up the root word of Arabs, it comes from the word Araba. And we did
Dang.
an etymology on that word Araba. It's a nomadic person that roams from place to place. So Ishmael did start what they refer to as Muslims, which means the original Muslims had to be so-called black people,
No
because
doubt.
Abraham was a so-called black man, and his wife, I mean, you know, Abraham was with was Hagar. She was an Egyptian.
That's
You
right.
understand what I'm saying? So
Dang.
they were two dark people. So Ishmael had to be dark. So, you know, putting that all together, the people that you see now when people think of Muslims, they're nothing but Ottoman Turks that
Ah, yes. Yes.
came down from the Ottoman Empire, and they went into what they refer to now with as a Greek word Africa, and they ravished those women, and now they produce these buttermilk complexion people that you see with the curly hair, because that's a mixed seed. That's not an original seed. That's not part of the 18 original nations. That's a mixed seed. Those people are Hamites and they're Ottoman Turks, Edomites.
Mm. Dang. See? That's
I
why I love
digress.
tuning in. That's why I love tuning in, because it's something always to learn. Even in my journey, there's always something for me to learn, you know? The only person that knows everything is a dead man, and he ain't talking.
Well,
Okay? He ain't talking. It
well,
reminds me of a show I watched some time ago, and you had this fella, I don't know what he was talking to in the heavens, He said, I want to learn everything that there is to know about knowledge. So sure enough, whatever was up in the heavens started downloading to that brother. That brother head went from this to this to this until it exploded.
Okay.
So with that being said, no one knows everything, and I'm so blessed to be a part of a brotherhood where my brother is truly my keeper, where my brother is truly iron sharpening iron so that he sharpens the countenance of his friend. This is why I advise everyone to stay tuned, stay programmed, and take notes. With that being said, Ox, I'm going to go ahead and leave you brothers in shalom. Kahan Tazadaq, thank you so much for bestowing this opportunity on me. Friends, guests, members, and associates, thank you all for tuning in tonight.
All right, we appreciate it, man.
Yes.
So we're gonna get to say shalom, man. Everyone have a safe night, man. Shalom.
Shalom.
Most High in Christ bless. Shalom.
Shalom, shalom.